Alright, so I figure new DLC is coming out in the next few days for Dark Souls 2. Kind of wanted to start a new character, kind of get him up to that point on a fresh playthrough. I've beaten the game several times with multiple characters, but wanted to start one new. Figured I'd record the adventure. I'm likely going to be skipping a lot of those. Well, it's really the only opening cinematic, but I'll probably be shooting through a lot of the text as well with NPCs, as I've done this multiple times. But, you know, hopefully if you've never played the game before, you'll see some things in this video, or this series of videos, I should say, that will reveal a few secrets. Maybe you'll have a couple gameplay tricks. Not exactly the greatest Souls player, but I will say this: when you start a new character, never go up here. Just there's an ogre up there. You probably can't kill him easily until you're around soul level. Maybe like 120 if you're melee. You can kill him earlier if you're magic based. I should probably mention I'm playing this on PC, but for the most part, you're going to see me using, or rather, I'll be playing it with a controller.
At least you know your...
Make this guy kind of the opposite of myself. Make him a twig. Yeah, we can make him ripped. Yeah, good enough. Just a quick thing. Depending on how you want to play this game will ultimately be your decision right here in the very beginning. If you can see in the bottom right of the screen there, those are your base stats for the warrior class. Each class here has its own set of values. The thing with this is, if you ever want to respec later on, there's an item called a soul vessel. There are several throughout the game, but if you ever respec, which brings you all the way back down to your base value, what you started as, these are the stats it will bring you to. You can never go lower than what it is showing for each one of these starting classes. So that's very important. So a lot of people will pick Deprived, which is the absolute lowest. You start at soul level 1, and all of your stats are at a base of 6. It's the lowest they can go in the game. So it's very important based on how you ultimately want to play this game. For this particular playthrough, I'm likely just going to start with the warrior here. Starts with 15 strength, 11 dexterity. You'll get to know these icons as you play through, but that top left one, once again in the bottom right, that's your soul level. So this one starts at level 12. Next is your health, which is at 7. Probably going to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the 6, it's funny, I've played this so many times, can't remember, is your poise or adaptability, which is at 6, which is your footing, your ability to dodge, parry easier. Kind of forgot what those last two are, I'm not going to lie. So, underneath your soul level, that's strength at 15, dexterity is the hand, forgot what the two crossing hands are, maybe that's the adaptability. Yeah, this is going great already, right? Next two are your dark and your faith, which are, you know, like the book above the star for faith. Those are your magic casting abilities. For this particular build, I'll likely be mostly melee. I might put some points into magic, but likely not. But we'll see. Last thing you get to do is choose a gift. You know, a lot of people say to pick the Petrified Something, which can be turned in for an item, or the Seed of the Tree Giants if you feel like you're going to get invaded a lot. I personally choose a Bonfire Ascetic. Now, what these items do is increases the difficulty of whatever bonfire you throw it into. So, that's good. Seems like my controller. Nope, it's a hotkey on my keyboard. This is one of the. There we go. Okay. Now, if this is your first time again playing, you should talk to every NPC until they completely deplete their options of talking. And what I mean by that is that every time you talk to her, see how she started out with a different speech, so to speak. You're going to want to keep going through until you see a repeat in the very first thing that was said. So obviously I just shot through it very quickly there. If this is your first time playing through, listen to the NPCs. A lot of them will have very valuable information, especially if you're new to the Soul series in general. So yeah, always go through and deplete their entire dialogue chain. Reason for that is certain things won't happen unless you do. Certain NPCs won't move from where they are to go further on and continue their journey. There's certain characters that you'll have quests with. Now, this isn't a game that's going to track your quests by any means. It's something you need to keep track of. The Soul series is very much known for not helping out at all, which is what makes it great, in my opinion. There's no hand-holding in this game series at all. So yeah, always deplete that text. A lot of times you get items at the end of it. Or they'll become an NPC that will sell you items. Now, I'm not really making this a beginner's video. Like I said earlier, just going to throw out some random tips like that here and there. But if there's interest for like a really in-depth walkthrough, you know, definitely looking to making one of those. We'll say this, typically, if you can sneak up behind an enemy slowly, critical strikes in this game occur from backstabbing. That's the only way to get a critical strike for the most part, with the exception of parrying in this game. So that's actually very important throughout the game, is getting those backstabs. Like I mentioned with the ogre in the beginning, there's another one down there. Do not attempt to go near these guys until much later in the game. This is probably one of the most important parts of the game right here. Now, obviously, you can't see the characters that are talking to you, but they're affectionately known as Silky and Smooth. Throughout the game, you're going to find items, like you saw me pick up in the very beginning of this video, a small Smooth and Silky stone, and then there'll be regular Smooth and Silky stones. What you're going to do is you're going to come to this this nest here, and you're going to leave this item behind. You're going to back all the way out of your menu. You get that text there. You're going to pick the item back up, and it is something new. Now, there are plenty of items you can get here. A myriad of them. Some of them are actually really good weapons. Some of them are items to upgrade your weapons and armor. Keep coming back here every time you find those Throughout these other mist walls here, we just have other training areas. Not something I need to go through. So we're going to march forward. This is our hub city, Majula. You're essentially always going to be coming back here, especially because you have to come back here to level up. If you haven't played Demon Souls, I should say. Demon Souls, you had to talk to an NPC to level up, whereas in Dark Souls 1, you simply leveled up at every bonfire. In this one, it works very much like Demon Souls. There's an NPC here in Majula that you are going to speak with, and she will be the main person to level you up. It's the only way to level up. So I would highly suggest not killing her if you have a tendency, like older Souls games, excuse me, to immediately attack every NPC. If you kill her, that's it. No leveling up. You're stuck at whatever soul level you are right now. Unless you're a master at this game, Godspeed playing through it.
Are you, or I go up? There. What?
Now, there's a few things you can do here in Majula, which I highly recommend. Right off the bat, there's this lonely soul. Again, I'm not going to sit here through and read all the text, but once you deplete his text, you'll be offered to join your first covenant in the game. To which I just accidentally hit no for going through too quickly. Essentially, if you get invaded, which is a big thing in the Souls series, is getting invaded by other players.
May you find peace on your journey.
Wearing the ring from this covenant, which I just got, will allow a blue sentinel, which is a later covenant, to have those people warped into your world when you are invaded to save you, or attempt to save you. This is known as the Far Fire. It's the first fire in the game that you can rest at. But before we leave Majula, there's definitely a few other things to gather here. There's this lonely soul here, but there's nothing much we can do with him right now. That shard I just picked up, we're going to give that to the Emerald Warden, which is the NPC that you level up from. And that is going to increase your Estus charges. Your Estus Flask is one of the major healing components in the game. Now, you only start out with one heal from it, but each one of those shards you find will increase that. This is also another Covenant here, Covenant of Champions. I'm not going to be joining that yet. Alright, ultimately had a small snafu there with recording, but it should be right about where I left off. We've now done just about everything in Majula. The Estus Flask shard you saw that I picked up before, I've turned into the Emerald Herald. And now you can see I have 2 Estus charges. Ultimately, you can get to 12. So now I'm headed over to the first area that you're gonna want to go to. Now again, if you're new to the Souls series, every time you rest at a bonfire, it's going to restore your health fully, it's going to redo your Estus charges, but it's going to respawn every enemy. And that won't occur when you ignite a bonfire, only when you rest at it. If you probably noticed, I've been picking up a lot of those souls. Again, if you're new, those are going to be how you level. You can see in the bottom right the amount of souls I've gathered. Those items, when redeemed in your inventory, will also give you souls. And it's ultimately how you're going to be leveling up throughout this game. I'll say now I'm ultimately terrible at parrying attacks, which you would do with your L2 attack. I'm not going to be doing much of that at all. from this particular NPC, what you're going to want to buy immediately is that key. That poor soul I was talking about that was sitting outside, this key unlocks the door. He'll become the main blacksmith for the game. You can also buy an upgrade of soul arrows. If you're a caster class, this will give you a total of 30 at this point in the game.
My name is Owie.
She'll also give you backstory if you talk to her. But if you deplete her dialogue, which ends with that last part there saying the next time she'll have a deal for you, my love. When you come back here after you clear this area, the entire area, not just this part, she'll end up warping to Majula. Another shard in that small white soapstone. For now, it's the quickest way to do co-op. Essentially, you'll write a little symbol on the ground, and anybody that's within your area and level can invite you into their world, and you can assist them. Now, when you assist somebody, if you've died and you've become hollow, you'll come back in human form. Conversely, you can only summon people into your world when you're human. This little area right here can be a little tricky. And that salamander back there is why. Well, that was close. Not going to be able to battle those salamanders until much later into the game. Or get that item you see on the corpse back there. It's actually almost endgame. Yeah, they fell cutely together.